History is just new people making old mistakes. From error to error one discovers the entire truth. What is characteristic of illusions is that they are derived from human wishes. The madman is a dreamer awake. The only unnatural sexual behavior is none at all. Not all men are worthy of love. In the last analysis, the entire field of psychology may reduce to biological electrochemistry. I had thought about cocaine in a kind of daydream. It is impossible to overlook the extent to which civilization is built upon a renunciation of instinct. Were we fully to understand the reasons for other people's behavior, it would all make sense. Love in the form of longing and deprivation lowers the self-regard. When someone abuses me, I can defend myself. But against praise I am defenseless. Where such men love, they have no desire, and where they desire, they cannot love. The voice of reason is small, but very persistent. The ego is not master in its own house. Love and work. Work and love. That's all there is. The inclination to aggression constitutes the greatest impediment to civilization. Intelligence will be in the service of the neurosis. Religion is an illusion, and it derives its strength from the fact that it falls in with our instinctual desires. Whatever fosters the growth of civilization works at the same time against war. Conscience is the internal perception of the rejection of a particular wish operating within us. In human beings, pure masculinity or femininity is not to be found either in a psychological or biological sense. Dreams are often most profound when they seem the most crazy. But one thing about human beings puzzles me the most is their conscious effort to be connected with the object of their affection, even if it kills them slowly within. It might be said of psychoanalysis that if you give it your little finger, it will soon have your whole hand. The psychical, whatever its nature may be, is itself unconscious. Where does a thought go when it's forgotten? Time spent with cats is never wasted. Neurosis is the inability to tolerate ambiguity. In the small matters, trust the mind. In the large ones, the heart. One day. In retrospect, the years of struggle will strike you as the most beautiful. We choose not randomly each other. We meet only those who already exists in our subconscious. Writers write for fame, wealth, power, and the love of women. One is very crazy when in love. I consider it a good rule for letter writing to leave unmentioned what the recipient already knows, and instead tell him something new. When a man is freed of religion, he has a better chance to live a normal and wholesome life. A father's death is the most important event. The more heartbreaking and poignant loss in a man's life. Being entirely honest with oneself is a good exercise. The paranoid is never entirely mistaken. The first human who hurled an insult instead of a stone was the founder of civilization. Smoking is indispensable if one has nothing to kiss. The price of civilization is instinctual renunciation. America is a mistake. A giant mistake. Love cannot be much younger than the lust for murder. Desire presses ever forward unsubdued. That which we can't remember, we will repeat. Whoever loves becomes humble. Those who love have, so to speak, pawned a part of their narcissism. Dogs love their friends and bite their enemies. Quite unlike people, who are incapable of pure love and always have to mix love and hate. Sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. Talk therapy turns hysterical misery to mundane unhappiness. Just as a cautious businessman avoids investing all his capital in one concern, so wisdom would probably admonish us also not to anticipate all our happiness from one quarter alone. When the wayfarer whistles in the dark, he may be disavowing his timidity, but he does not see any the more clearly for doing so. Tobacco is the only excuse for Columbus' misadventure in discovering America. It is a great injustice to persecute homosexuality as a crime. And cruelty too. Where ID was, their ego shall be. After all, we did not invent symbolism, it is a universal age-old activity of the human imagination. A certain degree of neurosis is of inestimable value as a drive, especially to a psychologist. The aim of psychoanalysis is to relieve people of their neurotic unhappiness so that they can be normally unhappy. A woman should soften but not weaken a man. The intention that men should be happy is not in the plan of creation. Knowledge is the intellectual manipulation of carefully verified observations. Love is a state of temporary psychosis. Not to know the past is to be in bondage to it, while to remember, to know, is to be set free. Maturity is the ability to postpone gratification. To be completely honest with oneself is the very best effort a human being can make. A man's heterosexuality will not put up with any homosexuality, and vice versa. Crystals reveal their hidden structures only when broken. If you want to endure life, prepare yourself for death. Flowers are restful to look at. They have neither emotions nor conflicts. If it's not one thing, it's your mother. We are never so defenseless against suffering as when we love. Children are completely egoistic, they feel their needs intensely and strive ruthlessly to satisfy them. The sexual life of adult women is a dark continent for psychology. When one does not have what one wants, one must want what one has. Just as no one can be forced into belief, so no one can be forced into unbelief. I no longer count as one of my merits that I always tell the truth as much as possible. It has become my métier. This is one race of people for whom psychoanalysis is of no use whatsoever. Out of your vulnerabilities will come your strength. Words have a magical power. They can either bring the greatest happiness or the deepest despair. We are what we are because we have been what we have been. All family life is organized around the most damaged person in it. The only shame in masturbation is the shame of not doing it well. When inspiration does not come to me, I go halfway to meet it. Dreams are the royal road to the unconscious. Opposition is not necessarily enmity, it is merely misused and made an occasion for enmity. Toward the person who has died, we adopt a special attitude. Something like admiration for someone who has accomplished a very difficult task. You can always make a lot of people love one another so long as there are a smaller number outside the group for them to kick. Where they love they do not desire, and where they desire they do not love. Without love we fall ill. The essence of analysis is surprise. When people are themselves surprised by what they say, that's when they are really making some progress. The conscious mind may be compared to a fountain playing in the sun and falling back into the great subterranean pool of subconscious from which it rises.